Hola y bienvenidas a Sex and Spanglish, where we empower mujeres to get in touch with their bodies, own their pleasure, and where we discuss all the cochinadas our abuelas didn't tell us about. My name is Ana Lopez. I'm a sexpert, future doctora, certified sex and life coach, proud Latina, and your go-to guide for all things sex. I'm here to help you kick vergüenza to the curb and teach you to have guilt-free sexual pleasure. Basically, I'm here to help you have mind-blowing sex without the guilt and shame you learned to have growing up. Let's be real. La comunidad latina doesn't talk about sex, pero que suerte tienes because this Latina does. It is my vision to have Latinas worldwide discussing sex with one another just like they do with chisme. Así que prepárate. I'm about to change the way you view sex para siempre. Hey, a quick note about today's episode. So this episode was recorded back in November, December, and this was way before all of the drama was happening with Target and DEI and all of that, obviously because it was either pre-election day or it was pre-inauguration, either way. So in this episode, I do talk about a specific underwear brand that I really like called Auden, Auden. And it's actually only sold at Target. I was hoping that that wasn't the case, but I went ahead and looked it up because I remembered that in this episode I talked about that. Now, if you are still okay going to Target, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to judge you and where you shop. But I also recognize that there are folks listening to this episode that are no longer supporting Target. And if that's what you want to do, I totally support you. That said, if you want to get Auden, you're only going to be able to get it at Target. So I just want to throw that out there. That said, Auden isn't the only 100% cotton brand of underwear out there. And it is just a brand that I had recently found when I was recording this episode. And so I wanted to share it. That said, if you just Google 100% cotton underwear women, a ton of sites will pop up. I'm actually on Google right now, and what pops up is Amazon, which I know a lot of people are also, trying to steer away from Amazon. There is something called Auto Body, ODDO body.com, Third Love, Wear Packed. Now, those are just examples, right? And I haven't really looked into those. I'm just saying all of this to point out that there are options outside of Target, I promise you. I am not going to share a specific brand because I do not like sharing things that I have not personally tried myself. And because I already have underwear and I don't need any more, I haven't tried any new brands. As soon as I try a new brand and I like it, I will let you know. That said, I don't feel comfortable suggesting a brand when I haven't tried it myself, and that goes for clothing or anything else. So do your due diligence in terms of looking at companies and what the materials are made out of, where they're sourcing materials, who they support, all of that, if that is important to you. At the very least, you want to make sure that what you are buying is 100% cotton. But again, I go into that, into all of that and materials and all of the things in this episode, but I just wanted to point that out that I do mention Target. And again, that is a viable option. You are more than welcome to go and spend your dollars at Target. That said, I know that many of you are trying to spend your dollars in a way that is more impactful, right? And in a way that is in alignment with your values. So I wanted to throw that out there, that just because, if you are not shopping at Target, you are not damned to hell, right? You are going to be able to find 100% cotton underwear somewhere. I promise you. It's just going to take a little bit of searching. So with that said, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is a continuation of last week. Now, these episodes are not done in chronological order by any means. I just broke them down into two categories. So last week's episode, I talked about what do you put in your body, so things that are inserted vaginally. And I also talked about things that are consumed via the mouth, right? So drinks and foods, and also medications. And then this week's episode, I'm talking about what you put on your body. So it's more geared towards the vulva, although it also impacts the vagina. So both episodes are totally relevant. Make sure that you listen to both. But again, you don't have to listen to them in chronological order. A quick reminder before I get into the information for this week's episode that this information is important for anyone that has a vulva or a vagina, and it is particularly important for those of you that are suffering from bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. If you implement the information that I offer in these episodes, I'm not going to say that it's going to cure any infection that you might have, because that's not necessarily true. However, it is going to help prevent these things in the future, because this is really how you should be caring for your vulva and your vagina in the first place. And we're actually just not taught how to do so. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and dive in. Remember that the vulva is the outside, right? So it's where the hair grows, it's where the labia or the lips are, it's where your clit is, and then the vagina is the inside, right? It's where the babies come out, it's where you put your tampons in, your penises, toys, etc., right? That is the vagina. So today we are more so talking about things that are impacting the vulva, but they also definitely impact the vagina as well. So the first thing that I want you to think about is your clothing. Do you wear any of the following? Leggings, panties, and really quickly, in terms of leggings, I'm talking about leggings that you might work out in. So those tend to be like a little bit thicker, made of a different material. But I'm also talking about leggings that y'all be using for pants, right? So things such as like the type of leggings that you would wear under a dress that maybe are like a little more thin usually. Any type of leggings that also like pantyhose, panties, pajamas. Do you wear jeans, pants of some other kind, right? So maybe they're just like work pants. So like work pants. How would I refer to this? Like business casual type of pants, right? Suit pants. Swimsuits, swimsuit bottoms, right? So when you think about like a one piece, or even the bottoms. So if you're wearing swimming shorts, or just like the swimming bottoms that are like a thong, or like they look like what are those called? They kind of look like panties, right? But they're swimsuit bottoms. When we think of like bodysuits, when I want you to think of like, do you wear lingerie? And all of these things are items of clothing that go on the bottom half of your body, right? They're going over the vulva. And so that is what's super important. So I want you to think about all of your clothing and all of the things that are actually going over that. And I want you to think about, like, am I regularly wearing clothing that is tight or form-fitting? A lot of you all are wearing clothing that doesn't fit you. Either you don't want to buy new clothing, maybe like you gained some weight or something, right? And it doesn't fit you anymore. Or, and I've done this myself, so I am not judging you by any means, but like it was the last one and you really liked it and you were like, okay, I'm just going to wear it at once. And then because you like it, you're like, okay, maybe one day I can fit into it. Or maybe after a while it'll stretch out and it'll fit a little bit better, and it just hasn't. It's just like you can get it on, but it's not really comfortable. Anything like that, you should not be wearing. I really want you all to have clothes that fit you, that are your size, that fit you comfortably, that are not super tight. A lot of times clothes don't really look good on you because you're not wearing clothes that actually fit you. And honestly, I don't give two shits what you wear. I just want y'all wearing clothing that fits you, right? You can wear a fucking string bikini and, whatever the fuck you want to wear. I don't care, but as long as it's your size, like that's what I care about, because I want it to be comfortable for you, right? Like I want it to actually fit your body. And I don't want your body to feel uncomfortable or in pain, or you potentially causing like an environment where bacteria can breed and you can end up getting a vaginal infection of some kind. So make sure that your clothing actually fits you. For my ladies or my folks listening that are regularly wearing leggings as pants, I know many of you do, and that is okay. Like if that's your thing, that is fine. I tend to wear leggings, especially when I'm running errands. I will wear leggings like the kind that you would wear to the gym. I wear those because I don't like carrying a purse. They have pockets. I can easily put my phone and like my AirPods in them and my keys. Um, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. It doesn't really fucking matter. But anyways, the point is that you will often find me in activewear. If you see me out in the world running errands, that is what I do. Um, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the difference between me and many of you listening is you're wearing these leggings all day. I am wearing the leggings only when I am at the store, and when I come home, I'm changing. I do not, if you are a person that is wearing leggings all fucking day, right? Or like you wear them all the time, like that's what you wear, that is fine. But when you get home, you should not be wearing those. You should be putting on looser pants. So like pajama pants of some kind if you want. You can put on shorts, put on a fucking muumuu, right? So something that's not going over your vulva, but you need to give yourself space to breathe. And at the very least, when you go to bed, then you shouldn't be wearing like another pair of leggings. You should be wearing really loose pajama pants or really loose shorts. And you most definitely should not be wearing panties. And you can even just go without anything on the bottom. You can wear a big t-shirt or a nightgown. Sleep naked if you want, doesn't matter. But really, you should be giving yourself space to breathe, particularly if you are someone that is chronically wearing tight leggings. You want to make sure that any panties that you are wearing, if you do wear panties or anything, or if you don't wear panties, anything that is touching your vulva, I want you to make sure that it is 100% cotton. So you shouldn't be, for those of you that don't wear panties, no judgment here. But if you're wearing jeans, you should actually be wearing panties because jean obviously is not cotton. And so anything that is touching your vulva should be cotton. I don't want you wearing silk panties that don't have a cotton gusset. The gusset is actually the crotch part of the panty. So independent of the type of panties you're wearing, you want to make sure that the material that is touching your vulva is cotton. For those of you that don't wear panties, if you're wearing like leggings, right, like that's fine, but you want to make sure that that little triangle that is meant to be where your vulva is supposed to go, you want to make sure that that is cotton. I have a pair of fleece lined leggings, and there is like a space, there's like a little seam, it's like for like the vulva, right? But it's also fleece, so like I wouldn't wear those without panties because I don't need fleece on there. Like that's one, that's going to make you sweat. And two, it's actually a breeding ground for bacteria. So you really want to make sure that if you are a person that doesn't typically wear panties, you want to make sure you're wearing panties when you are wearing pants or bottoms that have that are not cotton. You want to make sure that like that gusset is actually cotton. And if it's not, have some panties that you can wear. Target, actually, I just found this brand, so I hope they don't get rid of it, but it's called Auden. Target sells it. I don't know if it's a specific, like, to Target thing, but I really like their panties. They have, I actually don't know what they're called, but again, the brand is Auden, Audn. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And they have, I prefer thongs, but they also have other, types, other styles of underwear. But they have some that are 100% cotton, so all the way through. And what I've noticed is that when it's 100% cotton, you're actually less likely to sweat. So I am a sweater just in general. My whole body sweats, like as does everybody's, right? But I think that I sweat a little bit more than most people. So if that is you, and you find yourself having like swamp ass or something like that, particularly if you live in a more humid environment and all of that, like 100% cotton, like all the way is going to be your go-to. And that is for anything. So if you can find 100% cotton, like shirts and pants and things like that, that is going to be your go-to, because it's more breathable. That said, what I was saying about the panties is that they do have, the whole panty is 100% cotton, and they're so comfortable. And I think I want to say they're like $6 or $7 per, which is pretty cheap considering the price of panties nowadays. But anyways, Target sells them. I don't know how long they're going to sell them for. I really hope they keep those because I really like that brand. Their bralettes are also super comfortable. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back into it. Let's see. Anything that touches your vulva. So we're talking about bottoms, right? So anything you go commando in or your panties, right? So we can think about panties, bathing suits, lingerie, PJs, sheets, even towels, should be washed using dye-free and unscented detergent. A lot of you all are wearing the appropriate size clothing and are wearing maybe clothing that isn't like too tight, right? Like it's fine, but you're then washing your clothes with like suavitel, which I get it, it smells amazing, or you're using things you're washing it with things that have like a lot of dyes and a lot of perfumes, which can actually irritate the vagina and the vulva as well. And what's fascinating about it is because a lot of I've seen this time and time again is like you do good in terms of like washing your vulva, right? And you're like not using any soaps or like anything like that, but then you're washing your clothes with it and you're like, why the fuck am I getting these infections? Like, I don't understand. It is really because of the detergent. And I understand because you're like, oh, well, I wash it out. Like, why does it matter? But there are people that actually can't use any dyes or anything on any of their clothes, right? Even if it's like a shirt or a hat or something, because they will break out. And so that goes to show that the detergent actually does have an impact on your skin, because your vulva is actually skin and is actually more sensitive than most parts of your body. So I really like the brand All Clean and Free. So the brand is All, and then it's called Clean and Free. It's like an all white bottle. You can get it at Walmart, Target, pretty much anywhere. It's a pretty like popular or well-known brand. I recommend you washing anything that touches your vulva with that detergent and without fabric softener. You do not need fabric softener. It is not necessary. And if you're going to put these things in the dryer, I also recommend that you don't use the dryer sheets, particularly the scented ones. It is not necessary. You don't need it. And it's really just adding extra things to your clothing that you don't need. And speaking of perfumes, you want to avoid using scented lotions, oils, or creams near the vulva. That includes like the upper thigh area. What I've noticed is in talking to, so many women over the years is that y'all do really well in terms of like things that you apply to your vulva, but then in like your inner thighs and even like your upper thighs, or even like the back of your thighs, like towards like the bottom of your butt, like where your butt meets your thighs, is you're using like scented lotions or oils or creams that then over the course of the day are kind of like moving towards the vulva. And because it's not like open, presumably you're wearing clothes throughout the day, right? It kind of like all that perfume and stuff kind of gets trapped in and it can cause irritation. So it's just best, like I'm not saying you can't use scented lotions, oils, creams, etc. on your body if you want to, like you totally can, but I would recommend not putting it up like above like mid thigh, just so that it can like, you can kind of avoid that, the panty area having any of those like lotions, oils, or creams. Is just a way to like avoid it and be super cautious, particularly if you experience chronic infections. You also want to avoid putting it like on your ass cheeks and like on the mons pubis, which is where like it's where your pelvis is, where like the hair grows like in the front, right? It's typically like if you were to get like a little triangle or something like that, like that's where that would be. So that's the mons pubis. You want to avoid putting lotions, oils, or creams there as well. When you are washing your labia, when you're washing your vulva, you want to make sure to use clean hands only. So you're going to wash your hands in the shower, and then you are going to wash yourself with your hands. Now, there's actually no need for soap. I know for some of you this may sound absolutely disgusting, but I want to let you know that there's actually no need for soap. You can use a wash though, and those are two different things. You can use a wash of some kind that is particularly meant for that area. Some people will use Castile soap, I can never say that word, and that works fine. You want to make sure though that is unscented. There's a lot of soaps, Castile soaps, excuse me, like that actually has what is it called? What is the word? There's scents to those, and although they're like more like quote unquote natural, you still want to avoid those, particularly if you are super sensitive. I highly recommend Honey Pot. It is a foaming vaginal or foaming vulvar wash, and it's very gentle. They have an unscented version. It's a sensitive version, and so I highly recommend using that. I was going to say something else and I completely forgot. Oh, I wanted to say that the Castile soap, while you can use the Castile soap on your vulva, if you are super sensitive and you know that you are, I would avoid that and go ahead and use Honey Pot, because for some people, Castile soap, while it is gentle technically, for some people in that area, it's way too strong. For whatever reason. So if you already know that you're sensitive, go ahead and steer away from the Castile soap and move to the Honey Pot. You can get Honey Pot at Target. You can get it at CVS, Walgreens, Walmart. It's definitely cheaper at Walmart or Target, FYI, but you can, in a pinch, find it at CVS. I've also seen it at Walgreens. When you go to dry yourself off, before you do that, actually, you want to make sure that you are rinsing yourself very well. There's been these videos going around. I don't know if you've seen them, but on TikTok, there are videos of hairdressers talking about how people don't rinse their hair thoroughly enough when they're washing like the hair on their head. And I think that the same goes for most of us in terms of our bodies. We're not spending nearly enough time really making sure that all of that is off. So you want to make sure that you rinse yourself really, really well to make sure that you're getting all of that wash off. And that goes like for your entire body, particularly the top half of your body, because that can really just, go down to your vulva, obviously. When you go to dry yourself, you want to pat dry with a clean towel. Clean towel, not tile. I don't want you rubbing yourself. That is not how you need to dry. You need to pat dry. And when I say clean towel, I mean freshly washed. You should not be reusing a towel on your vulva day after day. So at the time I'm recording this, it is Sunday. So if I just grabbed a towel from the cabinet and I took a shower and I dried myself off, I would not use that same towel on my vulva again the next day. Even if I only used it on my vulva, you should not be reusing it. It's just really easy to reintroduce bacteria. Even if you hung it up dry, it's not touching anything, particularly if you are really prone to bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. You really want to avoid doing that. Now, if you want to reuse your body towel, that is totally fine. But I would recommend having some like washcloths or hand towels specifically for the vulva, right? So you can have like maybe a towel you use, like, I don't know, a towel a week or whatever it is that you use. You can reuse that body towel, but then you would have like a washcloth or a hand towel that you use specifically to dry your vulva, and then after one use, then you would put it in the wash and you would grab another one the next day. So you can have like you can just buy a pack of like 7 washcloths or 7 hand towels that you're specifically using for your vulva if you really want to reuse your towels, like your body towels, right? Yeah, so that is all I have for things to put on your body. Again, this is super important for everyone to follow. That said, if what you're doing is working for you, then go ahead and continue doing it in the way that you've been doing it. And if you find yourself in a space where you're chronically experiencing infections, then let's talk, because I definitely think, as someone who's been through this, I definitely think I can help you. Again, I'm going to do an entire episode on bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. They aren't talked about enough, and they are often misdiagnosed and treated wrong and all of the things, and they can definitely be avoided. So feel free to reach out if that is you. You can send me a DM on Instagram at Sex and Spanglish. You can send me an email on at sexandspanglish.com. And I'm more than happy to help you figure out like maybe some things that you can incorporate in your routine to kind of avoid these things from happening. But even implementing just any of these things will really help you and also prevent you from preventing any type of vaginal infection. So I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to y'all next week. If you have made it this far, this means that you have listened to the entire episode, assuming that you didn't skip any parts. So first and foremost, I want to thank you. It is truly an honor and a privilege to get to share my knowledge and expertise every single week, and the fact that people listen is mind-blowing to this day. So thank you. And before you go, I have a quick favor to ask of you. If you have gained anything from this podcast at all, if you learned one thing, if you've subscribed to the podcast, if you plan on coming back next week, if you have applied anything that I've taught you and it has brought you amazing results or even good results, right? Like if you've gotten results from what I've shared by applying what I've shared here in the podcast, I want to ask you to rate this podcast. I'm currently in the process of sharing the impact that this podcast has on the listeners, on the audience, on you all. And that means that I need to hear from you all. I know that people are listening because I see the subscriber number go up each and every week. I see the amount of time being listened to each episode. I see that go up every single week. So I know y'all are listening to entire episodes. I know y'all are listening to these episodes multiple times. I know people are subscribing. So the analytics say so, but I want to hear from you all. So if you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review. So, give it a star rating and share 1 to 2 sentences about something that you've learned from the podcast, what you think listeners need to know. If you are on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment letting me know the impact that this episode has had on you. If you are listening on Spotify or some other platform, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at Sex and Spanglish. You can also send me an email, anna@sexandspanglish.com, and let me know what is resonating for you. What did you take from this podcast and apply to your own life where you've gotten results? Tell me what you like. Also, tell me what you don't like and provide me with suggestions for topics and questions that you might have. I also want to remind you that I do have an anonymous question box. So feel free to go to the show notes and submit your questions there, and I may share them on the podcast anonymously. Of course, all of that is in the show notes. But again, thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. And if there has been anything that you've learned from this episode, please, please, please do me the favor and let me know, whether it be through Apple review, whether it be through DM, whether it be on your stories and sharing like a little snippet and tagging me in it, whether it be a comment on YouTube. I just ask that you share what your thoughts are on this podcast. I'll talk to y'all next week.